Hello and welcome to Strictly Staffing, a web series for recruitment leaders. My name is Audrey Larty and I'm part of the media solutions team at LinkedIn, consulting on brand for our customers.
And I'm Alex Sheridan from the EMEA Search and Staffing team at LinkedIn, based in London. Now, the reason we're here today is to talk through the tectonic shift in the importance of marketing across the industry and explore proven growth strategies for search and staffing agencies, and hopefully set you up for some success in the future.
I'd like to welcome our industry leaders to the discussion. They're going to share how they're able to influence the trajectory of growth for their agency. So let's meet the panel. I'll leave them to introduce themselves.
So hello, I'm Elaine Tyler and I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Venatrix. For some context, we specialise in placing graduates and early careers people into sales roles in fast growth SaaS technology businesses. So we've been established for 4.5 years and we're a sub 20 person firm.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Sandeep. I work for the Adecco group, which is a global HR talent solutions business. However, I work for the UK and Ireland part of the business with 2,500 colleagues. We're a 10 brand global business with many local brands within the UK, which I'll touch upon a little bit later.
Excellent. Let's just dive in. How do we generate more revenue from our existing team of recruiters? What role do you see marketing playing to support this?
A huge role. So one of my teams that I directly manage is the sales team at the Adecco group. And the sales team has actually been working much more closer to the marketing team than ever before. It sounds quite simple and it should happen, but in some organisations they do work independently and they're going out there and doing their individual initiatives. But we've now brought those two teams together, they sit together within our organisation, they are now looking at marketing from a pursuit perspective and changing the way we're actually putting content out there. So podcasts is definitely a route that we've taken, and you know the market's very receptive to those sorts of mediums, but you have to segment out and think about what your verticals are, what your audience is, and how you can reach the masses, but in a localized level. So you're actually still being quite discreet by the tools that you're using. And we're always learning. Data is obviously key, but the reaction of individuals is paramount for us. And one of the things that we've been doing within that space is putting out content which is not necessarily, which is very easy to do, is use McKinsey, etc., but our spin and our opinion on it. So what do we truly think about the way the world of work is changing or a certain sector is developing? And we put that out there to get a reaction. And by getting that reaction, we're driving not only our own content, but receiving content back from the people who are consuming it, which in return provides a really great digital dialogue between us and whoever the actual receiver of that information is. And that then drives more information out there. So we've been using surveys with articles that we've been putting out, and actually in 2 weeks we're launching our first magazine, so our Insight magazine from the Adecco Group UK and Ireland, which will be a curation of all the articles and thought leadership that the marketing team and the sales team have collectively delivered, but in one pack that we can put out to our audience, and that's for our clients but also our candidates, to give them a bit more education about what we're thinking, but also the changes that are happening within the different sectors and industries.
May I? So, you know, it's certainly an experience that I've had as well in terms of the transition from being a recruitment consultant in 2008 when I first started, when the job was very much focused around like dials per day and sending out CVs and very activity driven, to
I think we all do.
to you know, and if somebody was like writing an article, your manager would be looking over your shoulder thinking, you know, why are you wasting your time doing that? That's not your job. You need to be calling people. Whereas, like, you know, we've obviously seen this change, certainly over my career of 13 years so far, that, you know, we obviously actively now encourage people's commitment to the brand, their own personal brand and marketing. So last October, I was invited by Recruitment Entrepreneur, which is the company that invests in Venatrix, to give a presentation about actually LinkedIn branding. And as part of that exercise, I looked at the consultants in my company who were posting the most, getting the most likes and getting the most engagement. And lo and behold, those consultants also had the highest average billings over a 3-month period. So I can understand it does get difficult sometimes when we're talking about the difference between direct sales and marketing. But now when I actually interview consultants to join my company, I can't separate the two. So one of the questions that I ask them is, if we were to hire you, tell me the title of 3 blogs that you would write about our industry. Or, you know, how do you actually feel about creating video content and putting it out there on LinkedIn, and how would you go about doing that? But you do need to control it and make sure that the core activity is still there to get the results.
It's a really good point, and we ask exactly the same question of our colleagues and our teams within the business. And one of the things I think is really powerful is getting them to engage into something that's really a passion project for them, or something that's of real interest. So I love it when they talk about their individual brands, because we have a multi-brand approach in the UK and Ireland. However, when they talk about a particular sector or a particular purpose within that, that adds just another edge to it. And to your point, the reaction they get is phenomenal, and it builds up their own personal brand, but it also allows them to kind of engage with like-minded people and get a lot of content in return, which I think is brilliant.
You touched on an important part there. I mean, all throughout this conversation, I've been talking about clients and candidates, but ultimately now you have a third audience that probably you're thinking about even more, and this is actually people who you're thinking to actually bring into your business and employ a brand. Like, how have you both seen that shift change throughout your time working in the space? Start with you, Elaine, first.
Yes, I mean, just to kind of speak from the personal experience of, you know, Venatrix. You know, I started that company 4.5 years ago when I turned a computer on, sat at a desk by myself, and there was no one, you know, I didn't even have an email signature, right? I had to write one myself. So at that point I had 0 brand and no one to do any marketing. So when I think about, I mean, I think that the key part about it is it doesn't just suddenly happen, and you've got to go and chip away at it every single day. Like I said, engage over all of those channels multiple times, and don't give up on it up until the point where, you know, you've cultivated a team of people who believe in your journey and mission, and they themselves are spreading the word that then, you know, from the result of my business now has manifested in people, you know, actively chasing me to want to work at Venatrix, where if you told me that 4.5 years ago, I'd never have believed you. And if you look at the way in which like my team actually make that happen, because I think that's really where it comes from, the consultants themselves saying this is a great opportunity. You know, I was thinking about us sitting down and discussing this topic. You know, one post that somebody did about a new team member joining in the last 2 weeks got over 36,000 views. So it's that type of sharing of the stories that are happening internally that's driving staff to be keen and open to the concept of working at my company anyway.
Absolutely. We're a really passionate bunch, and we work hard and enjoy our time off just as well. And we have a really passionate group of 2,500 individuals who work in the UK and Ireland, and they've always been very proactive in promoting their own brand. But what's been really beautiful to see is that they're now promoting the broader, what we call the ecosystem, which is the whole cluster of brands that we have within the Adecco group, and are really pushing out the message about how great it is to work within the organisation, how they work locally within a branch or an office versus what it's like to work in one of our hubs or a head office. So the communication and the social content that's being put out is absolutely brilliant, and we really kind of made a point of this as being a mindset change within our kickoff at the start of this year, to look at really about how do you have more of a growth mindset, and it's okay to have an opinion out there and build your personal brand, and they've definitely picked up on that, and they're doing that in abundance.
And that is actually really encouraging to hear, that both of you are really talking about empowering your employees and really allowing them to feel confident to go out there. Because I know when we look at where customers win on the platform, it's actually those who are looking at the employer brand, especially looking within staffing, that the employees are saying things. It's not, doesn't come from a corporate mouthpiece, even though we recognize that that has some importance, but empowering your guys to really feel compelled to tell their story, because it's far more credible.
It's really important because having done employer brand on behalf of clients as a paid service, one of the things that we always look at is what is your shop window, your website, your content socially, versus what it's like to come and work for you in your organisation. And sometimes speaking to certain individuals, they feel like they walked through the wrong door because the experience that they've had up through the recruitment and selection process has been significantly different to what they're actually experiencing in-house in the job. So we use a methodology called join stay. So the people who stay and are high performance and really developing, moving the business are the sorts of people who should be promoting those who want to join an organisation who have got the same sort of mindset and ambition. So that's the sort of model we use between the two. So what we're doing internally is pushed out externally. But also, if somebody joins a business, we want them to have the same experience throughout the whole employee life cycle. And if they do decide at one point to move on, we're very proud because they've been part of our business for a really long period of time, and hopefully they'll come back at some point in the future. So the whole employer brand piece is critically important, not just for the front, but for the entire cycle of their employment.
To make sure that you can apply all that you've heard today to your business, I want to provide you with a few actionable next steps on how to get started. As you start to think about how building momentum with this, take the time to audit where you are right now and use this as the foundations on which to build your plan. This is probably the most important part of winning with marketing, and it gives you a baseline to where to measure from. Secondly, and it was mentioned today, find your authentic voice as a leader and as a business, taking into consideration all of the moving parts of your organization. Marketing is a team sport. It's no longer the sole responsibility of your marketing function. Everyone from your receptionist to the CEO has the opportunity to shape your brand both on and offline. And lastly, understand the audience that is important to the growth of your business and be deliberate about putting your message in front of them at scale, whilst using the opportunity to test, learn, take those intelligent risks. And based on your message and your reach, this will determine how you realize efficiencies and translate this into meaningful return on investment.